Hello, hello. Welcome to Write Once, Publish Twice, How to Write Your Book in 6 Months or Less. I am so excited to be here today and to show you how you can write your book the easy way so that you can establish your expertise, grow your business, and gain confidence and clarity in what you do and how you help people. Okay, let's get this up. Great. All right, so it looks like we don't have a whole lot of people here yet. That's okay. I am going to wait about 2 more minutes and then we're going to get started, and whoever is here is here. Okay. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. So this is Write Once, Publish Twice, How to Write Your Book in 6 Months or Less. I am your host, Kate Allison. I am really excited to be here today. So I help people write their business building books so that they can establish their authority, grow their business, get visibility, and get featured on media and as a speaker, so that you can become an influencer in your niche. So today we're going to talk about the easiest way to write your business building book using the content that you're already creating for your business, so you can write your book in 6 months or less without spending hours writing every week. The biggest thing that I hear people say when I ask them, why haven't you started writing your book? They say, well, I don't have time. And when you think that you have to spend an hour writing every day in order to write your book, it can be hard to find the time. But this way, you're not spending an hour every day. In fact, you're not even doing anything other than what you're already doing to grow your business. You're just going to do it strategically so that at the end you have a cohesive book that you can publish and use to establish your authority and grow yourself as an influencer. And for those of you that stay until the end, I am giving you a free crystal clear confidence worksheet. And the purpose of this is to help you develop your sense of why you are writing your book, who you are writing it for, what your core message is, and how you are going to help the people who are reading your book. Excuse me. Okay, that's better. So the purpose of this is to give you the motivation and the inspiration, as well as the nuts and bolts clarity of what you're writing about, so that you can remember the big picture of why you're writing, but you also know exactly what you're writing and you don't get stuck. So a little bit about me. My name is Kate, and I have been a book writing coach for about 2 years now. And I really love helping people share their stories with the world. I believe that we all have a story to share, and that the world is a richer place when we share our stories with each other. And I do this by helping my clients write their books in a way that really speaks to their ideal reader, so that when their ideal reader picks their book up, they read it and they go, oh my gosh, how do you know me so well? It's like you're inside my head. And because of that, my clients' books have an average 4.9 star rating on Amazon. So I'm really proud of that because, obviously they worked very hard to write an excellent book. And I also worked with them to take what they did and supercharge it and make it even better, take it up to the next level. So now, how did I come up with this write once, publish twice formula? Well, I noticed that a lot of people, when I was asking people about, okay, so why aren't, you say you want to write a book, why aren't you writing it? People would say, well, I don't have time. So that's the first problem. Problem number one, you don't have it. People say that they don't have enough time to write their book. Now, that's not necessarily the case. In fact, we all have the same amount of time, and some people do write books. So clearly you do have enough time. It's a matter of making it a priority and doing it strategically so that you're not letting your other priorities fall by the wayside while you write your book. So problem number one, people say they don't have enough time to write their book. Now, another problem that I've seen happen, especially with people who run a service-based business where they're writing a blog or doing podcasts or doing weekly live videos, is that people have trouble coming up with content every week. Like, oh, I have to write about something new. What do I talk about this week? And so I realized that one of the ways that we can help to solve this is to actually use the content that you're creating to write your book. And this solves both problems. So number one, you're blogging your book. Now, I use the term blog your book because I like the way it sounds. You can use any kind of content. So if you have podcasts, Facebook Lives, or YouTube videos, anything like that can be used for your book. So this way, number one, you aren't doing anything extra to write your book that you're not doing already. Unless if you're not creating content for your business consistently, then maybe you do need to add that in. But this is going to help you grow your business long before your book is published so that you're not taking time away from your business to work on your book. And the other thing that it does is it shows you, okay, so what is my core message? And when you figure that out, and when you when you look at your book and you say, okay, these are all of the pieces that need to be included, then you realize, okay, so if these pieces are missing, hey, that's content. And so if you have, let's say you need to write 5 to 10 chapters and you do a chapter a week for your blog or podcast, that's 5 to 10 weeks worth of content that you don't have to think about, oh my God, what am I going to talk about this week? So this way, not only are you getting a book out of this without taking time away from your business, but you also have a plan for the type of content that you're going to create. And you know that content is spot on to your message because you have the clarity and the focus that you have for your book. So the other question that I hear people say is, why should I write a book? There are so many things that I could be doing to grow my business. Why write a book? So there are 4 reasons. Number one, writing a book transforms you. The minute you start figuring out that clarity, the minute you figure out what your core message is, who you can help, and how you can help them, you are transforming yourself. You are proving to yourself that you are an expert. We all have these negative voices inside our heads. And that's actually what the book that I'm writing is about, is these negative voices that we have inside our heads. So I'm going to talk about that quite a bit throughout the webinar. And so we all have these negative voices that say, well, you don't really know what you're doing. You're not good enough. You're an imposter. You're not as good as so-and-so, or, you're not as successful as so-and-so. And when you write a book, it proves to yourself that you actually are an expert, because you can't write a book if you don't know what you're doing. And you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You also realize how unique you are. You realize what it is that you have to offer that no one else does. Because the truth is, you are unique. No one else can do what you do. No one else can write your book. No one else has had the same combination of experience and expertise that you do in order to help people in the way that you do. And when you write your book, this becomes clear. Again, as you figure out what is your core message, who you're helping, and how you can help them, you realize, oh, this is what's special about what I do. This is how I can help people in a way that's unique. You also are developing courage. Sharing your story can be very, very scary. You know, people say, what if I write my book and nobody likes it and people hate it? What if that happens? It's a possibility. You are putting yourself out there. Now, I will say that if you write a book that people absolutely hate, there are probably going to be people on the other side that absolutely love it too. So it might even be a good thing if you have some people who hate your book. But the point is, you are developing the courage to put yourself out there into a scary situation and say, you know what, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And it's okay if people want to criticize that. I can handle it. You know that your voice is going to be heard because we all have a desire. We all have this desire to share our thoughts, share our stories with the world. And writing a book is one way of doing that. And when you do that, you know that not only are people of this generation going to hear your voice, people of the next generation will too. And that's what's different about books versus other kinds of content. If you write a blog every week, there are people who are reading your blog, and that's great. But 100 years from now, it's pretty unlikely that people are still going to be reading your blog. But if you have a book, then it's much, much more likely that 100 years from now, people are still going to be reading your book, whether you're alive or not. You know, maybe by then we will have life extension technology and we'll all still be alive. That would be fantastic. But whether that happens or not, writing a book is a way to preserve your legacy, to show the future generations who you are, what you stood for, and why you were here. Writing a book is also something that's difficult. And again, with those negative voices, we have the thoughts like, you know, have you ever had the thought, oh, I can't do that. That's too hard. Writing a book proves that you can do hard things. And you're doing them. And when you have, so when you take all of this together and you pull it all together and you develop a deep sense of confidence, of clarity, of courage, you show up differently in the world. And when you show up differently, guess what happens? That transforms your business. Think about when you start working with someone or when you're looking for someone to work with and you're interviewing perhaps a couple different people and one of them says, oh, I have a book. Here, go read this. That's pretty impressive. So you can wow your potential clients with your books. You can also send your books to people who you admire, the influencers, and get their feedback. You know, now they might not respond, but that's okay. The point is that when you do get the opportunity to introduce yourself to someone who you respect in your field, you can show them your book and they're going to be impressed by that. And this impression, the way that they're impressed with you, is going to make them more likely to want to work with you, to promote you, to refer you to their friends, whichever one of those they can do. And so when you write your book, you are establishing your expertise. You are saying, I am the authority on this. And when you do that, when you showcase your authority, people are drawn to it. People will see that you really do know what you're talking about. Because let's face it, we've all had an experience where we thought someone was an expert at something and then we paid them and then it turns out that maybe they weren't. So this way, it's a way of establishing the know, like, trust factor with potential clients before they even talk to you. It also, writing a book also gives you visibility. When you publish your book, You're going to publish it in different places, in places that people who may want to work with you, they may not see you in the places that you're currently showing up. If you do your business, if you go to networking groups when those are open, or if you do your business online via Facebook or LinkedIn, there might be people who aren't looking on those places for your services. But if they find your book on Amazon, then they'll know who you are. They'll start following you, and that will make them more interested in either working with you or promoting you, or maybe referring you to their friends. And so with that, you also gain clients. It's a great pipeline, because again, the people who read the book are going to be so impressed that they're going to want to work with you. And I'm going to talk more about this later, about how you can actually leverage your book to make money. But I just wanted to mention it here. Now, the other thing that's going to happen when you write your book is you're going to transform your reader. So the book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, changed my life. Like I mentioned, I have struggled with, the negative voices in my head, struggled to find the value in myself, struggling to love myself. And reading this book gave me the courage to step into myself, into my higher self, and to start doing the things that I really wanted to do with my life. In fact, it was reading this book that was the catalyst for me becoming a book coach. It was something that I wanted to do, but I was scared to take the leap until I read this book. And I want you to think for a minute, what books have changed your life? I'm sure there's something, or else you wouldn't be here. If no book has changed your life, then you would probably not be interested in writing a book yourself. So think about what books have changed your life. And then think about, what if that person had never written their book? Where would you be right now? Somewhere out there, someone needs to hear what you have to say. And because you are unique, they will hear it from you in a different way than they will hear it from others. And that will make all the difference. So if you do not publish your book, people might be left behind. People who need to hear about you, who need to hear about what you do, who need to know how you help people, who need to learn what you have to offer, they're going to be left behind. And the sooner you write your book, the sooner you can start changing lives. Now, when that happens, you can actually transform the world. So you were probably inspired by someone. So for me, I mentioned Jen Sincero. There are a number of other people who have inspired me in one way or another, not just authors, but also people in my life. And whenever we're inspired by someone, you are changing lives with your work. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. So you are changing lives with what you do. And when you do that, you know that the people that your clients, that they're going to go on to change people's lives too. I inspire people to write books so that they can write their inspirational book that then inspires somebody else, who then inspires somebody else in some way. So writing your book will inspire others, and it will inspire more people than you can work with in a one-on-one capacity. And then when you do that, those people go on to inspire more people. And eventually, when enough people are inspired, it changes the world. You are an influencer. Now, that said, we know now why it's important for you to write your book. Now let's talk about how. So I developed the Write Once, Publish Twice formula to help you write your book without taking any time away from your business. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you. Glad you're here. So here's an overview of the process. And again, I call it the Blog Your Book process. So the first thing that you do And this is the key step here, that if you start blogging your book without this step, then it's going to be a random collection of blogs that isn't going to come together, and it's going to make no sense if you try to publish it as a book. So the first thing that you do is you clarify why you're writing your book, what your message is, who you're writing it for, and how you can help them. And like I said, if you stay to the end, I am giving away my confidence and clarity worksheet that goes through these questions in detail so that you can see this process and exactly how to clarify what you do. And you can use this worksheet, even if you're not writing a book, you can use this worksheet to help yourself in your business. So then the next thing that we do is we create a book map. Your reader is on a journey. And so your book map is like if you were to go to Google Maps and say, okay, I live in Pennsylvania. How do I get from Pennsylvania to California? Google Maps is going to tell me, turn here, then turn here, then turn here. It's going so that I know exactly where I'm going. Your book map is the same thing. It's going to tell you exactly what your reader needs in order to get where they're going to their destination, which is covered when we clarify, we cover how their life is going to be transformed and where they're starting from, so that we know the starting point and the end point, and then we figure out the directions in between. Then from there, once you have that, then we go through your content, what you already have created. And again, this can be blog posts, this can be podcast episodes, it can be Facebook Live videos, YouTube videos, anything that you are currently creating for your business. If you write long emails, or if you have long form social media posts that are teaching posts where you teach something, those can be used for your book. So then you go through all of that and figure out, okay, so you have your book map, which is like a book outline, and you figure out where does each piece fit. And some of your pieces might not fit, and that's okay, but a lot of them will. Because you've been doing what you've been doing for a while, you already have a lot of content that's going to help you here. So from there, then we figure out, okay, what's missing? What do you need in order to complete this book map, in order for your reader to complete their journey? So we identify the missing pieces, and then from there, I love this part. Then you create a content calendar where you take each missing piece and you schedule a plan for when you're going to publish it and where. So if you do a weekly Facebook Live, then you're going to take each missing piece and say, okay, this week I'm doing this topic, this week I'm doing this topic, then the next week I'm doing this topic. So you end up with, depending on how much you need, you end up with, 1 to 3 months of content all planned out, that you don't have to think about every week, oh my God, what am I going to talk about this week? So that, and not only that, but it's also focused. So it's going to draw your ideal person in because you've done the clarification process. So not only do you have a plan for your content, but your content is also going to be more powerful because of everything that you've done in steps 1 through 4. Okay, so to get into detail here, the first step is to clarify. When you do this, I invite you to think about your vision. Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? From there, think about, how does my book help me get there? And that's going to tell you why you're writing your book. Connecting it to your vision is crucial for maintaining the motivation to keep writing, even to keep going, even when it feels like, well, no one's going to read this anyway. When you have a deep understanding of how your book is going to help you fulfill your vision, and I know you have a vision, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. How your book is going to help you fulfill your vision, then you have the motivation to finish it. You're not going to get stuck, because if you do get stuck somewhere, you're going to reach out and ask for help, because you understand how important it is to finish your book. So once we understand that, then we go to, okay, so what is your core message? And the way I like to think about this is, think of a big question. What is the big question that your book answers? So I mentioned earlier, I'm writing my own book about the negative thoughts that we all share, why we share them, and what we can do about it. So the big question that that my book answers, excuse me, the big question that my book answers is, what can we do about our negative beliefs so that we can live a full life? And in order to understand that, we're also going to talk about, like, what are the smaller questions that fit within that? Well, one question is, okay, so why do we all have these beliefs? Because it does seem true that we all have them. And from there, then it's like, okay, so we all have them. What can we do about them? What can we do about them on an individual level? What can I do about my beliefs personally? And then not just that, but because we live in a larger society, my book also answers the question of, what can we do as a society? Because I believe that if we have a healthier society, then it's going to be much easier for people to work through these negative beliefs so that they can live a full life that is in accordance with their vision. And that is why I'm writing my book. So from there, think about who needs to hear your message. Now, you might be thinking, everyone. And it may be true that you want everyone to hear your message. But if you write your book for everyone, no one is going to read it because it's too generic. No one's going to pick it up and be like, oh yeah, this describes me. Oh my God, I need to know this, because you're not talking to them. So think about who needs to hear your message the most. And think about this in the context of your vision and your business. So it's probably going to be someone who is similar to your ideal client. Maybe they're not quite as far along in their journey as your ideal client is, but it's someone who's going to be similar, who's going to have some similar characteristics, who's going to have that similar problem, similar yearning for what they want. And from there, think about, so then how will their life be transformed? So when I think about who needs to hear your message, now my book is a little bit different because I'm a book coach and I'm not writing about writing a book, because I feel like that's already been done and I don't need to do that. That's not what I have to contribute in terms of writing my own book. So my book is a little bit different when it comes to who needs to hear my message. It's not necessarily the people who are my clients, although there is the connection that, we all have these negative beliefs, and the people who are inspired to change those beliefs are also going to be people who are inspired to write books about their journey changing those beliefs. So thinking about that, even if it's not obviously connected, you might be able to find a way to connect it. So who needs to hear? So for me, like, who needs to hear my message? Well, again, my first thought is everyone. We all have these negative beliefs. But the truth is, not everyone is ready to deal with them. Some people some people just aren't in a space where reading a book would help them with that. They may need individual therapy or something else, to deal with that, but they're not in that space. So I'm looking for people who have already done some work in terms of identifying these negative voices and working to work through them, so that working to identify the lies and develop their own self-confidence, self-esteem, so that when those negative voices arise, they can look at the facts and say, no, you're not true. So the people who I'm aiming at, and it's also true that the people who tend to read these books are mostly women. So my book is aimed at women who have done some self-development and who are also interested not just in changing these beliefs for themselves, but also changing these beliefs for the larger society as well as future generations. Because that's another key component of my book, is how do we educate our children in a way that stops these negative beliefs from getting instilled so deeply in them. So that is who my book is for. That's how I'm making it specific. and how their life will be transformed is they will understand, you know, they already know that they're not alone. They already know that they already have some inkling that, you know, these beliefs are not real. But they're going to understand, oh, this is why I have these beliefs, and this is what I can do about them on an individual level, and this is the change that I can affect on a bigger level as well. So having a clear message that is tailored to a specific audience is what separates best-selling books from the rest. If you do not have a clear message, or if you do not have a clear specific audience, your book is not going to be a bestseller. It's just not. So having a clear message and a clear audience is really crucial if you want to reach that bestseller status. And even if you don't want to reach that bestseller status, it's still crucial for reaching the right people, the people who you want your book to reach. So step 2, the book map. Your reader is on a journey. And so you want to identify, now this is another way of looking at a book outline. So this is similar to a book outline, but it's slightly different in that we're looking at it from the perspective of the reader's journey. So where are they starting from when they pick up your book? What are they a beginner in terms of what you're teaching? Have they had some familiarity with it? Or, you know, do they consider themselves pretty well versed in what it is that you're talking about, and they want to dig even deeper and know even more? Understanding where they're starting from is necessary. And again, this is part of identifying that specific audience. If you write your book for everyone, guess what? Not everyone is starting at the same place. So you're not going to be able to write a book that actually meets people where they're at. It's going to be too scattered. So identifying where they're starting from, where do they want to go? What will be what is their destination, and how will your book help them get there? And where along that journey do you want them to be after they finish your book? So for my book, again, I am aiming my book at people who have done some work in terms of working with the negative voices in their head. They know that those voices are lies, and they want to understand on a deeper level why they're there, what they can do about them, not just for themselves, but also for everyone, for society as a whole. So they are starting from a point of awareness. I don't need to put in 5 chapters about why your negative voices are lies, because my people, the people who are going to pick up this book, already know that. Now, if I was aiming this at people who didn't have that knowledge, then yes, I would need to put that in. But this is an example of where it's really important to understand where your person is starting from, so that you know exactly what you need to include and you're not putting in anything that you don't. So that's the idea of your book map. Basically, it provides clear directions for everything you need to include. So for each chapter that you put in your book, you're asking yourself, how does this help my reader get to the destination? And if it doesn't, then that chapter doesn't belong. And you can also identify here, you know, okay, so let's take Google Maps. Let's say I go to Google Maps and I'm looking for directions, and it says, and for every single direction, it says, okay, go 10 feet past the McDonald's, go another 10 feet to the Burger King. I don't know why I have fast food restaurants on my mind. And then go another 20 feet until you hit the traffic light, go straight through the traffic light. And then you'll see a farm on your left with some cows in a field. You know, like, I don't need to know all of that to get where I'm going. All I need to know there is that I should go straight. So that's an example of where, you know, like, you don't want to include any more information than what they need to know to get there. So that would be like if I were to include, for example, like if I were to get very, very, very specific about like why I have my own beliefs, you know, I'm going to include, you know, stories, but I don't need to do a deep analysis of my childhood in order to get my point across. And if I do, I'm going to lose the reader. So that's what your book map is for. Then step 3, you're looking at your content. So you're going to go through and make a list of all the content that you have. Again, this is your blog posts, your podcast episodes, Facebook Live videos. If you have emails or long social media posts, you can use those as well. And you're going to list all of it out. Now, you may have some redundancies, especially if you've been creating content for a while. So you might want to pick, if you have 2 things that are on the same topic, then you might want to pick one instead of both of them. And you can just list the topic, and then once you look at everything, then you can decide, okay, which one fits there, or do I want to merge them and put them both in there in a way. So you're going to have a list of your content, and then you're going to identify, does this piece of content fit? Does this piece of content help my reader go from where they're starting from to where they want to go? And if the answer is no, then you can leave it out. Now, there may also be some things that you can tweak slightly, and with those slight tweaks, they will fit. So be aware of that. And if something does fit, then you can look at, okay, so where in their journey do they need to know this? Is this something that they need to know at the beginning, or is this something they need to know closer to the end? And look at how it all fits together. And again, your book map is going to actually help you by showing you exactly what goes where. So then, step 4, what's missing? This is pretty simple. You have your book map. You've put in the content that you already have where it fits. What don't you have yet? What do you need? This is the content that you will need to create. And this is where you're going to develop your content creation calendar. So as you're doing this, the first thing that you want to ask is, what type of content do you prefer to create? And again, it can be blog posts, it can be videos, it can be podcast episodes. If you don't like writing, don't make yourself write your book. Do videos instead. Don't make it any harder than it has to be. And then you also want to know, how often do you publish new content? So if you have a blog post that comes out every 2 weeks, then you're going to know, okay, every 2 weeks I need to have one of these missing pieces plugged into my calendar. And so then you're going to create a calendar with due dates for when you'll publish each piece to your audience. So with this piece, I had one client, Rhonda, who we went through this, and even though she had, I'd say about 90% of the content for her book done, she had enough missing pieces for a month's worth of daily live videos. So that was a whole month where now she doesn't have to think about what it is that she's going to create. She has a plan because she identified what was missing, and she put it into a calendar. She set up due dates so that, and then at the end of this month, then she's going to have all the content that she needs for her book. And it's like you get 2 things out of one, because not only are you getting a book out of it, but you also have a month's worth of content planned, so that you don't have to think every day or every week about, oh my God, what am I going to talk about today or this week? So that is an overview of how the process works. Now, there's a lot more to this. Some of these steps are a lot more involved. This is just an overview. So I do have a special offer for you. So this is the Blog Your Book VIP Day package. This is for you if you are ready to write your book, if you are ready to set up your content so that it works for you and it works for creating your book. This is for you if you want to become an influencer, if you want to grow your business. This is for you. So like I mentioned, my client Rhonda, she gave me a very nice testimonial after working with her. My first meeting with Kate for my blog, My Book VIP Day was amazing. I gained so much clarity and order around the intention and purpose of my book. She helped me create order in my mind about why I was writing the book, who I was writing the book for, what my audience's problem was, why my solution was different, and how I can help people in their transformation if they implement what I teach. I also realized how much of this content can be used for social media, marketing, etc., while I write the book. So this was one person who this was after our first meeting that she sent me this testimonial, which was very nice of her. So the first thing that you get is a 1-hour clarity call. This is where we go through step 1, where we answer all of those questions that I went through, and we dig deep into, okay, what is your vision? How does your book help you fulfill your vision? And then we dig into, okay, so what's your message? What makes your message different? Who is your message for? And we answer all of these with your vision in mind, so that you have a clear book, you have a clear understanding of why you're writing, what you're writing. And then, from there, that's the first step. And that's one 60-minute meeting. And then we do the Blog Your Book VIP day. And this is a half a day where you and I meet and we dig through your content. We create your book map. We create your content creation plan. So this is where we basically go through steps 2 through 5. So we start with creating your book map. From there, we analyze your content and figure out where it fits. From there, and then we identify the missing pieces, and then we create a content creation calendar. And this all happens in one half-day meeting. So this is the bulk of the package, but it does come with the first call, and then this one. And with that, you're going to get a book map. You're going to get your content creation calendar for 1 to 3 months worth of content. So all of this together comes to a total value of over $1,800. And I'm offering this for $997. I also have a special fast action bonus where you get 3 implementation support calls. So these are 3 1-hour calls that we do as a follow-up to your VIP day, so that if you get stuck anywhere, you have time with me where we can pinpoint what's going wrong and what you need to do in order to get back to your vision and remember why you're writing your book, and get to the nuts and bolts and how. And I will say that this is available only for those who purchase while we're on this masterclass. So this is only if you purchase now while we are on the masterclass. So the total value of all of that is now almost $2,500, and you're getting it for $997. Okay. So this is the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat here. So that if you are ready to go, you can go ahead and sign up. And you'll sign up for your clarity call when you purchase, so that we'll have that first call scheduled right away. Okay. Now, one of the biggest questions that I get when people talk about writing books is writing my book a money-making activity? Well, yes, it is. So the next question is, how? So there are 3 ways to make money with your book. Number 1, as a speaker, you can get paid up to 3 times, sometimes even 5 times higher fees with a book versus without a book. Not only that, you're also going to get more opportunities. You can also be featured on media, so that you can, again, increase your visibility. And when you're featured on media, you can also sell more books. So it's like a cyclical process where, your book feeds your speaking and media career, which then feeds your book sales. And it all works out beautifully. You can also raise your prices because you've established yourself as an authority within your niche. People are going to want to work with you. They're going to recognize your expertise and say, yes, I will pay, they'll say, I want to work with you. I don't care how much it costs. I want to work with you. I'll find a way to make it work. And you can also grow your following. So when you publish your book, you can add downloads in there that have them subscribe to your email list, so that you have more people who are ready to buy the next time you launch. Because again, they've read your book, they already know, like, and trust you, And now you might have hundreds more buyers the next time you launch. So those are 3 ways to make money with your book. Now, I know that the concern now, though, is, but I need to make money now. And if I'm writing my book, then I'm not making money now. Well, first of all, that's not true. There are 5 magic words that you can use to get all of the advantages that I mentioned before you even publish your book. And that is, I am the author of the forthcoming book, your book title. Now, caveat here, once you say this, you are committed to publishing your book. If you say this and then you don't work on your book, people are not going to trust you. So when you say this, you are committing to writing your book and publishing your book. But by saying this, you are showing that you are an expert. You are able to raise your prices. You're able to apply for speaking gigs. And you can even have, for example, if you're creating resources for your book, you can say, oh, get a sample chapter at my website, and then you get more email subscribers. So just by using these 5 magic words, author of the forthcoming book, you can get all the benefits of writing a book, of having a published book before you actually publish your book. Another thing that I hear people say is, I don't know if now is the right time for me to write my book. My business is growing and I'm busy with clients, and I just don't know if now is the right time. Well, let me tell you something. If you're saying this, that means that you are thinking about writing a book, which means that now is the right time. There's never a wrong time to write your book, So if you have helped people with what you do, especially if you've developed a unique process or system, if you've had people pay you for your expertise, which again, if you're here, then you're here because you've had at least 2 of these. You've helped people and you've had people pay you. Then now is the right time. Now is the right time to write your book. So again, this is the Blog Your Book VIP Day package, a total value of over $2,400, available for $9.97. And again, the implementation support calls, those are only available for the people who purchase on the masterclass. There is a limit to how many of these I can do in a month. So I can do 5 VIP days per month, so that the first people who purchase, obviously you'll get dibs on when your VIP day is scheduled. Now, I'm throwing in a couple other bonuses. So bonus number 1 is a masterclass that I created called Self-Editing Secrets. And this comes with a workbook. And the idea of this is to help you take what you've created for your business and edit it into a cohesive book. Because you have your book written pretty much, but you will need to do some editing, especially when it comes to, you'll need to add in transitions. You may need to, rephrase some things, especially if you're going from video. There's a difference between how we speak in video versus how we write. So this Self-Editing Secrets masterclass will show you exactly what you need to do to make your book stand out. And as a book editor, I use what I call are the 5 C's to make sure that your book evokes curiosity, your book is clear, it is consistent, it is concise, and it is complete. Those are the 5 things that I teach in this Self-Editing Secrets class. And some of those, like for example, clear and complete, you're going to get that from part of that from the VIP day. You're going to be clear on your message. You know that the book itself is going to be complete, but it's also a matter of looking at making sure each chapter is complete, making sure each sentence is clear. And I show you exactly how to do that in this masterclass. So that's bonus number 1. Bonus number 2, if you get stuck, I'm also sending you the Writers Blockbusters video series. So the Writers Blockbusters are a series, a set of tools and techniques that you can use anytime you feel stuck You don't know what to say. You don't know what to write. And again, even if you are, doing a podcast or doing videos, you can use these techniques for creating your podcast or video if you ever get stuck. So this will help you maintain that momentum, maintain that motivation, have tools in your toolbox for those times when you just don't feel like working on your book. This will help push you through that. And then bonus number 3, I'm also going to give you a book marketing checklist to make sure that when you publish your book, people actually see it. And so this is key, because you don't want to publish your book to crickets. And the right time to start marketing your book is now. Some people wait until after they've published their book, but at that point it's too late. You want people to be excited about your book before it comes out. You want people to pre-order your book so that you can hit that, so that you can at least hit that Amazon bestseller status. Get your book in bookstores if enough people buy it. So this is why it's important to market from the beginning. So I'm also giving you my marketing checklist so that you know exactly what you need to do to promote your book. And I will say, just a tip here, the number one thing that you can do to promote your book right now is start talking about it. Because when you start talking about it, 1, people are going to know about it. And 2, you're going to motivate yourself to continue to write it, because when you start talking about it, you're committing yourself to actually writing and publishing it. So with all of those bonuses, the value of this is over $2,700. Again, I'm giving it to you for $997. And from this, you will be ready to, you're going to have a complete rough draft. You're going to have a month to 3 months worth of content to create. You're going to have clarity on who you serve and how you serve them, which is vital not only for your book, but also for your business. And you're also going to get these bonuses. So if you purchase now while we are on the masterclass, you get the bonus implementation support calls, and that's 3 one-hour calls as a follow-up to the VIP day, so that if you get stuck, we can work through anything. And you're also getting the self-editing secrets, the writer's blockbusters, and the marketing checklist, so that you have everything that you need to edit your book, you have everything you need to publish it, and you have everything you need to market it. You're ready to go. Oh, actually, that brings up one other thing that I am going to include is a list of people who you can contact if you would like help with marketing, or I also have I have people who I refer for things like book cover design, book marketing, book publishing. So I will also send you that list. I forgot to add that to this, but I will be sending you that as well, so that you know exactly who you can go to for your book cover. If you want someone to help you create a website for your book, I can recommend someone for that, so that you know who you can go to fit all of these pieces together. So again, the total value of that over $2,700, your price $997. So again, here's the link to purchase. It's in the chat. And if you are wondering if this is right for you, if you're not 100% sure, you can schedule a quick chat with me to see, if this is something that you are ready for, or if it's something that maybe you want to do, in a couple months. Like I said, I think that now is the right time to write your book, but I know that we all have life. And sometimes, maybe you're not sure if this is the right time for you. So we can certainly chat about that. Or maybe you're not sure about what your message is, and you want to make sure that you have a clear message before we start. And that is the point of the clarity call. But again, if you want more clarity before you do that, then this is for you. So if you want to find out more about this, find out if this is right for you, you can schedule a call with me. I'm happy to get on the phone with you one-on-one and chat and see how I can help. Okay, thank you so much. Now, I did say that for people who stayed that you will get the Crystal Clear Confidence worksheet. So here is the link to that, which I will also put in the chat here, if Zoom will let me. There we go. Okay. So that is that. Now, if you have any questions, I'm happy to stay on for a little while. If not, then we can say goodbye. But I am here for questions and answers. If there's anything from the presentation that's unclear, or if you have questions about the offer, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions here. Bruce, thank you so much for coming. I'm glad that you're here. And if you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to send me an email. You should have my email address, but in case you don't, shoot me an email. Feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Yes. Okay, good. You're welcome, Bruce. Do you have any questions? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to stop the recording now.